this is my last slough on the hayfield, and this one won't dry up. There's nowhere to drain the water to, so because the highway's over there and this is lower than the highway. But as you can see, everything's died except the dandelions. They're still alive. And then, but sniper found a dead seagull, so that's handy. Try to spin me over here. I don't know if you'll see the pivot running or not. So this is, I think what day it is. I don't know if it's the 15th of May. Maybe that was yesterday. Maybe it's the 16th of May. Anyhow, it's Wednesday, so whatever day Wednesday is. I'll spin you slowly here. Try to see. I don't know what you can see. I can't see nothing in that sun. Anyhow, we got purebreds in that pen there now. All the bulls that I'm using right now are turned out, so I'm not AIing anything right now. We've got burning it down with this group of purebreds, and we got his son that I bought from Wyatt with the commercial heifers, and we got barn burner 5060 with the purebred heifers, and now Wyatt show cattle are with that bull because I kicked out the top 10 bull with the main cow herd, and stud muffins out there, and master 68Bs out there, and then I put Royal Flush out there. There's another bull too. Anyhow, I got them with the cow herd, and like I said, the bull to cow ratio isn't what it should be, but when they're all close together, you can get away with a bull breeding 40 cows, okay? Don't recommend it. Definitely wouldn't do it on a pasture setting, but you can do it when you need to in a smaller group. So this pivot I started last night. We finally got water, so who would believe that you had 8 feet of snow, had surface flooding, and then you're dry as a bone because the snow melted while it was frozen still. So I started up just as soon as I could. Well, I guess I gotta get my body out of the way. So I'm putting on 4/10 of an inch. Got 40 psi. It's in manual right now. I will set up an easy plan. So what I'll do is I'll put up an easy plan, and what'll happen, get this thing done up. You guys can stare at Sniper there. You can see kids all got to put their handprints on when we built this pivot pad. Anyhow, so I'll put an easy plan to where when it gets to this line that it speeds up, because we got too dry to do anything with this half circle. And in our sand, you got to be careful. Sand works okay. If you can work it moist, you're not too bad. And like, we don't ever run without packers because you got to save your moisture. So we always use packers. But what happens is on this sand, if you work it dry, then you don't have any lumps, it'll just blow away on you. So you see, got dandelions growing in the hay. But like I said, we might take 2 cuttings of this hay and then break it and plant it to fall triticale in August, and then graze her off this fall, and in the spring we'll graze it, and then if there's a crop there, we'll pour the fertilizer to it and let her grow. But here, we'll just show you what this sand does. Anyhow, so as you can see, that's all it is. And see, there is some moisture. Ooh, I've got a mosquito biting my darn nose. That's not much fun. Mosquito bites your nose. So the sand just breaks down. Like, we've got friends, and if you grow a crop of barley, they'll go out, and after the combine in August, they'll disc it, let the regrowth come. Then come fall, they'll go hit it with the chisel and they'll rip it twice. And then in the spring, they'll rip it again, and then they'll vibrishank it 3 times and then plant a crop. But for us, if we had barley stubble, we could just leave it till spring and disc it once, fertilize it, disc it once, and plant into it. So we always end up with rougher fields, but you can't, if you overwork this sand, it blows away on you. So this was disked once and then vibrishanked, and then we're like, we'll just see how fine this stuff is, eh? Anyhow, so it was disked once and then vibrishanked, and so now it's just been sitting and waiting for moisture. And the kicker is now we're forecasted to rain, but so you don't know how much to put on with the pivot. So I think when I get to the edge here, I'm going to speed this. Like 4/10 is not much to put on, but I think what I'm going to do is I'll speed it up to 2.5/10, and because like I windshield wipe my pivot, and you can go to the edge and shut off and come back empty, but what I'll do is I'll speed it up to 2.5/10, and then I'll go hit the stop, come back, so it'll end up with 1/2 inch of moisture, and then I'll slow it down to 1 inch on the alfalfa. You see where I drove across the field hauling bales, eh? Shortcut. Like I said, nothing will grow there in those tracks, but the losses aren't as bad. You kind of do what you got to do when the trail's too wet and mucky. You do what you got to do. So this field beside me, I'm going to plant oats and peas for silage or green feed, and then I've been toying with the idea of, with the flooding here, it sucks, but I got so many wet holes, and we pumped for 2 weeks and cost a couple $1,000 to pump the water off that was flooding. But like I said, it's not like you have a reservoir to put it in, and when we started pumping, we weren't as dry here, so it's not that easy to go lay out main line for a mile and plumb into a pivot again and stuff. Like, it's not that simple. So, but anyhow, but I've toyed with the idea of planting, I want to plant this west half circle to alfalfa, and like I said, you go a couple miles away and they don't have sand. And so what other guys will do is they'll literally just, they'll take those nice good press drills and disc drills, and they'll just plant straight in with just straight alfalfa, no companion crop. But on this sand pile we can't do that. So I'm gonna go price out alfalfa. Like I said, it would cost me about 60 bucks an acre for seed. And the problem is I don't know whether I want to do it with with all the lowlands being too wet to do anything. So even though we've pumped the lowlands, what's happened is the lowlands the only places that held water. So even on the edges of the lowlands, you'll sink the tractor to the axle trying to, you think, oh well, the water's been gone there for a week, I can go up there and work, but it's soft and wet. Oh man, it's so dusty. You know, unreal, eh? But like I said, if you keep working this land dry, it will turn to gunpowder. It's just consistency. It'll just be little fluffy granules, and then it starts to blow and you'll never keep it home. But like I said, here it's pretty dry, and you know, on your edges you end up turning the, you know, cultivator on every time you turn. So anyhow, I just don't know whether I want to go to all the expense of planting hay crop and then not be able to get into the lowlands. So I've toyed with the idea of just planting oats and peas, or oats, barley and peas, you know, for silage, and then in the summertime plant the hay. But like I said, here the seed companies give you an establishment guarantee, but they won't guarantee it if you don't plant it in the spring, and most of them won't guarantee it if you plant a companion crop. So that's the advantage of planting it into stubble in the summertime, is then you don't have any competition. You spend so much for the alfalfa seed, you hate to choke it out growing oats. But for us, we need the feed and the production, but we also want to get our most bang for our buck. Well, I'm going to shut this off for a second because you guys are shaking all over, so hold on. So, oh man, I got my fat shadow in the way all the time. So Dad took the vibra-shank out after he changed shovels and just went for a little tour, but like I said, this is just as dry, if not drier, than the hay. But look at this crop of wild buckwheat we got coming. Like I said, sand and buckwheat are best friends. We can grow buckwheat like a son of a gun. And then a few years ago we hailed out on the corn, but because we got cows and we need the feed, we didn't go disc it under. We kept it and then chopped it. But all that buckwheat got to seed out. So like I said, it's a freaking mess. But like I said, this I'd say this quarter circle here, like I said, I try to move slowly. So there's a lowland there that used to be really big. You'd minus that, but this quarter circle, we could have planted it 2 weeks ago. Just there was little pockets everywhere that would hold the moisture, so we didn't do it. And I'm wishing I had, you know, hindsight's 2020. But if I would have come in here, well, of course, there's not enough hours in the day. You take care of a bunch of cows and you do chores all day. You don't have 18 hours a day to sit in the tractor like you should. So anyhow, as you can see, by the time I get rain here, the weeds are going to get pretty big. But it's not my first rodeo farming sand. So, but this old pivot here is wore right out. It's hydraulically controlled, and you cannot speed it up and drive fast enough to put ½ an inch on, or else the towers go out of alignment. So I mean, if we really don't get any rain, that's what I'll have to do is irrigate, which is, like I said, just a big joke because we spent $2,000 pumping water off the land. And so we pumped it here. Oh, this video is gonna get too long, so I'll shut off and I'll bring you back out. So this used to be a 60-acre lake. You see Dad pulled ditches to help And the funny part is pulling those ditches. He drove out with the John Deere and 4-wheel drive John Deere and pulled those ditches in the ground here. Just last week, the ground was still frozen under the water. So here's our Deutz diesel pump engine. Anyhow, this little bugger is pretty good. It's pretty fuel efficient and it moves a lot of water. And so then we had, a couple years ago, we had a excavator come in here and dig this hole, and then you just see straight ahead of us, so right there, we put a culvert there and then a kind of a bridge for the pivot to drive over. So last year we had the pivot break down and flood this lowland. So the pivot doesn't have all the automatic stuff, so we blew an oil line and all the oil pumped out of the pivot so it wouldn't drive, but the pump stayed on. So that's why in this low part you can see there's some corn stalks there, and I had barley in this right in the lowland, and it I baled it, but like I said, what I could I baled. Anyhow, but as you can see, you look at how dry it was on top of the hill there, and you come over here, and as you can see, there's some deep tracks. So regardless, I'm not going to be farming this stuff for quite a while. So like I said, that's where I'd like to put this whole half circle into hay, and then I'd put, 15% grass in it. And then what happens is all your low areas, the alfalfa dies out and the grass stools out, and you have something. But this quarter circle is kind of a write-off for this year. So you kind of scratch your head and say, well, why do I want to do a patchwork farm? But anyhow, you can see across the tops here, you could, like I said, you can get just a little, like I said, with the lowland in that one pivot corner, close to that corner, and then what you can do over here, you get basically a quarter circle. But where those trees are, that's a pivot corner there, and we had water right from that very corner just all across the farm. I guess I shouldn't. Anyhow, it was a 60-acre lake, so it's come a long ways. So anyhow, you guys would be sick of walking around the farm with me, shaking you all over the place. But like I said, the corn field there, it's turning green as well. Look at the millet here, just unreal. The millet's just taken off here. Like I said, sand can grow a heck of a crop of weeds, and it can grow good corn and alfalfa and potatoes too, but my heavens, that millet is pretty thick. Anyhow, this video has gotten really long, so I'm gonna let you go. For those of you that remembered, I talked about my nose. I got the biopsy back, and it is cancer. It is basal cell carcinoma. So if you're gonna have skin cancer, that's the kind you want. So I've got, the doctor's gonna get me an appointment with a plastic surgeon to cut off the side of my nose, and we'll see how we go from there. Like I said, the problem is in Canada, our healthcare is, people say it's free. Well, it's not free. You pay for it in your crazy high taxes, but you don't write a check for everything, we'll just say that. But that means I'm going to wait a long time, and this is just going to grow the whole time I wait, where if I lived just across the border into Montana and they did a biopsy, I'd be going in this week to get that cut out. So anyhow, there's good and bad with everything. So anyhow, it'll be okay. So I might just not be as pretty as I once was. So anyhow, be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and have yourselves a great day. Take care.